Today's the 11th day of Advent, and our story is the Ten Commandments. After Moses and the Israelites are freed from Egypt, they spend a number of years wandering in the wilderness, and a few different important things happen during that time, but one of them is that Moses goes up on Mount Sinai and receives the Ten Commandments, God's law for the people. And I think this is one of the places where people start to have an issue with God, because they say that God is a God who rules. God is some kind of dictator God who says these are the things you can do and these are the things you can't do, and God judges based on these rules and judges harshly based on how well we follow them. I think this is a misunderstanding of how God's law works. Sometimes we think about God's law as being the opposite of God's grace. We say law is bad and grace is good, or the Old Testament is bad and God is mean and angry, and the New Testament is nice and God is kind and loving. But all these things are really gross misunderstandings of how God is and how God's law functions. God's law is actually a gift. It is good for us because God's law is God telling us how we can find life that is abundant, how we can avoid things that are killing us and cling to only the things that bring abundant life for us, for our community, and for our world. It's the same as when we tell our children rules, right? You can't have 10 pounds of chocolate right before dinner. You'll get sick. It's not good for you. You can't just run out into traffic. You can get hit by a car. We're not being mean when we give these rules. We're just trying to set some boundaries that can help ensure the safety of our children. God's doing the same thing. God isn't saying that God is going to force us to follow these rules, that God is going to overpower our will. God is saying, look, these are things that are killing you. Don't do them. Cling instead to the things that bring you and the world life. That's all God's law is trying to do. It's trying to set up how we can find full and happy and healthy life. And so the law is a gift because it shows us the path of light. It shows us how we can live in ways that are not just pleasing to God, but life-giving for ourselves and for our neighbor. So I would encourage you to look at the Ten Commandments sometime today or this week and read through the list again and think not, what is this restricting me from? But how are these freeing me for a fuller life in God, a fuller life in service to my neighbor and to the world? And remember that you are loved, and God's peace be with you.